I'm Chaleise Fleming. I work with Greenwalt CPAs in Indianapolis, and I am a tax and outsource accounting manager, and I have been a licensed CPA since 2014. So I think when we went fully remote, it wasn't as scary because we already had the technology. Everyone already knew how to access the remote desktop, all the applications. And I think for me, especially, I already had experience of how do I monitor and supervise while remote, and also how do I give feedback and kind of touch base with everybody remotely as well. Sometimes it can be a little scary because you think, oh, my job's going to be replaced by a robot in the future. I can say, like, my firm, we're really forward thinking, like less compliance and more critical skills, so that even if we're not doing some of the nitty gritty work that potentially an AI is going to be doing in the future, we're going to be in there more on a consulting role and kind of involved, but kind of changing our role a little bit to where it's not just tax and audit, but also helping them with their budgeting and their planning for the future. I feel like when we all first went remote, I was really good about touching base, whether it was we use Teams for kind of internal messaging, whether it was doing that, a phone call, a text message. I feel like as it stretched out farther, even I've kind of gotten in the habit of, oh yeah, I should reach out to everyone. Just because I haven't heard from them doesn't mean they're doing great. But I just try to have those touch bases, even just once a week with everybody on my team, just making sure, hey, how you doing? Mentally, you okay? I think the biggest thing is just being open to change and having those conversations. I think especially with small to mid-sized firms, it's that thought of all these technologies, because technology is constantly changing. It can almost be scary to even open up the conversation of, okay, how do we need to start using or looking at these new technologies? But I think the first big thing is just being open to, okay, let's look at our technologies and start thinking about adapting and maybe making some modifications to the changes. I think the biggest thing is making sure you set some time aside. I think it's really hard, especially during busy season when we all have so much on our plates, and especially working remote, when it's like, all right, they're fine. They haven't reached out, so obviously they have no questions and they've got all this. It's what I actually started doing a few years ago for certain things, is scheduling a little calendar reminder, like once a week, like not to say I do that on that day, but just a reminder like, hey, have you had a touch base with everyone? Or even setting time for specific feedback on a project, just as a reminder of, okay, I still have to do this. I think we all get so busy, we kind of forget about that feedback, even if it's a, hey, good job, nothing was changed. Even in talking with other people at other firms, we've all had this, all right, how do we obtain new talent when everything's remote and you can't bring them in and see the culture? But we did a lot of like virtual, again, we did some virtual trivia, virtual just kind of chats to kind of bring everybody in. I'm not a shy person, but I feel networking, especially at big events, I always struggle a little to meet people, to remember names. So I'm like, all right, how do I force myself to really get involved and start meeting people directly? Join the committee. What's better than the committee that plans all the events? And it's a great organization, especially for women, because now I don't have children, but a big struggle is balancing work-life balance, your roles at home. And it's just so great because we all network together. Like, how do we handle that? How do we handle balancing all of that, doing it all? One, it's a great way to meet like-minded professionals in similar ages and even similar positions in their career as well. So I think it just helps build that confidence, like, hey, be comfortable in who you are and where you're at. And, you got promoted because of your experience. So trust in that.